Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Totalbiscuit from the WoW podcast, Blue Please on CynicalBrit.com. I'd like to give you a look at the changes to the Western Plaguelands. Just morphing into the new map right here, you can see that there haven't been too many changes in terms of where things are, but the entire environment has shifted rather dramatically. Welcome to the border between the Cinereous Glades and the Western Plaguelands. Forsaken camping out once again with the Argent Dawn, all buddy-like. Apothecary Dithers and, of course, the High Executioner still chilling out, as always, and they've upgraded their fortifications with some neat purple paint. Now, this ain't your daddy's Western Plaguelands, I can tell you that for a fact. That should be obvious to anyone. Even me with my terrible memory can see, this doesn't look quite the same. There are a significantly reduced number of cursed plague bears, and also the Alliance have a much stronger hold here than they used to. Alliance fox hunters with giant dogs are protecting some of the new farmsteads, which used to be massive plague areas. This fox model looks new to me. Oh dear. Animal activists are going to be all over me for that one. The first of 4 areas that used to be covered in plague, cauldrons, and horrible death is now a fruitful and vibrant farm. Yes, indeed, this is the Fellstone Field. Now, 3 of the 4 areas that used to be covered in plague have been cleansed, and I'll show you those one by one. There are numerous differences there. The Scarlet presence in this area is much reduced, and I'll show you why in just a few short moments' time. There's indeed another Alliance farmstead here. Dalson's Tears, which is now covered in pumpkins. Always good. Appropriate, really, considering that this was one of the best Halloween-style zones in the game. You should have noticed when I clicked on the mobs back there that the level range of this area has changed rather significantly. Now, I used to chill around here at about maybe 51 to 56 or 7. Now, it's more like 35 to 40. Lions logging camp there. We'll go over here, and where we're going is Hearthglen, and you will see some dramatic changes. Now, you'll be aware that Hearthglen used to be held by the Scarlet Crusade. Not anymore. Argent banners all over the place. It's been retaken now by Tyrion Fordring. Now, Lorehounds, let's see if I've got this one right. This area used to be ruled by Tyrion Fordring. However, he ended up getting exiled because he gave aid to an orc by the name of Ettrig. Paladin by the name of Barthalas took it over temporarily, but ended up getting killed during an orc assault on the Stratholme. Now, in Warcraft 3, Hearthglen ended up being a target for the Scourge invasion. There was a tainted grain shipment moved from the now ruined and Scourge-infested town of Anderhal. And at which point, Hearthglen came under siege after the guys in Hearthglen had just eaten the infected grain. Not too good. Arthas, however, came in and helped. They were able to hold things off long enough for Uther to come along, and that's the reason why this area remained fairly untainted. After that, of course, the Scarlet Crusade took it over, and now it's back in the control of Tyrion Fordring once again. If the name of Hearthglen rings a bell more recently, that's because there's an area in Dragonblight called New Hearthglen, which is full of the Scarlet Onslaught. You should have been there, I would imagine. Right, well, I think you all know who I'm looking for, so let's go to the biggest building, and I'm sure we can hunt him down. Let's do something to accelerate the process. Go into the largest place, which is, of course, covered in honor guards. Yes, this should be where he is. No doubt about that. For some reason, there's a Tauren Drudge there. I don't know why. Around here. Oh, where did Fordring go? Well, it turns out Fordring is right in this room.
Have a good one.
There you go.
The time of the Argent Crusade is now.
Well, I'm fairly sure the time of the Argent Crusade was last expansion, but whatever. It works. Okay, that's about all of Hearthglen, so let's go and have a look at some other stuff. The next area I would like to show you is relevant to the changes to the storyline and the overarching theme of the quests in this area. As you can guess, a lot of this stuff has been cleaned up and is no longer infected by the Scourge, but the work isn't complete. Now, the area I'm about to show you next should explain to some degree how it happened. And it will also point out that the task is not done, and you are expected to help out with it if you want fat loots. Let's rapidly fly over here. There's some odd green stuff on the ground. I have to wonder what that's all about. And it looks like the Darkmoon Fair's here, but it's not. It's just very similar buildings. So, the Cinereous Circle have brought some kind of green glowy thing. Now, I would assume that the green glowy thing is responsible for everything, but then again, they do have a troll called Kiki, so maybe he's the mastermind behind it all. We're doing a bunch of the quests for the Cinereous Circle right here. Now, that's fairly interesting, but I would like to know what's going on over there.
Hello, man.
Kiki doesn't have anything to say. What a shame.
Spirits be with ya, man.
Argent Crusade is involved in it as well.
The Naru have not forgotten us.
As for why, well, it makes perfect sense when you think about it. Part of cleansing the rest of the Plaguelands involves killing all the undead in it, and there are still some. The further you go towards the eastern Plaguelands, the worse this zone gets. I have no idea what's with this guy. It seems to be some kind of neutral flight point, but if you look in the description, that's a giant. I don't think so, somehow. And he's brought plenty of beer for all, so you can't complain about that. Griffin and a Wind Rider there, so I would imagine it's some kind of neutral flight point. You can't access it yet. Maybe you have to gain some reputation with the Cinereous Circle. This character is currently on neutral since it's a pre-made. Okay, now things start to get a little bit worse. The western half of WPL is not as bad as what we're going to be coming up to. It's mostly cleansed. This area, it's okay, but they haven't managed to properly repopulate it yet. It's in the process of building, and it's heavily fortified by siege equipment. Although, since no one seems to be manning it, I don't think it's going to be doing much. Nobody home? Now up we go, and here is Anderhall. Anderhall is going to be a big zone of contention from what I can tell. And the reason for that is that Anderhall is split up into 3 parts. You have this, the Forsaken fortified area. You've got an Alliance fortified area on the other side. And you've got the older part of Anderhall, which is still contested. And it's contested by 3 different factions. The Alliance, the Forsaken, and the Scourge. So you'll see undead fighting over here, but as we fly over, you'll notice Alliance banners and indeed some actual buildings here. They're really intent on taking Anderhall back, whereas the Forsaken, well, they'd prefer to keep it for themselves, and the Scourge are just caught in the middle right now. PvP is a possibility, of course. An interesting contrast, nonetheless. Big Alliance fortifications going on here, and they, of course, connect you to Chillwind Post in the south of the area. Now, you would like to know whether or not Araj is still there. Let's see if we can find him. Here, Lichy, Lichy, Lichy. There you are. Not as threatening as he used to be, I'm afraid. Seems to have lost most of his minions, and he's now a lowly, lowly mid, level 30. So sad. Right. Let's go and see what's going on over... Heading on over here to Chillwind Post. I would think that the majority of this zone is going to be phased. If the overarching plotline is that you're trying to cleanse the western Plaguelands, then it seems bizarre not to use the technology they have available to make that happen. Well, the areas I've shown you thus far have been green, full of life, and only the occasional plague bear to be seen. Indeed, the majority of the bears have been fixed, unless they imported them from Grizzly Hills, which is a possibility, but would be logistically improbable. What I would like to show you right here is Uthor's Tomb. As far as I'm aware, it's pretty much the same kind of thing. But past this point, things start to get a little bit hairier. Let's head on in and kill the Night Elf. I'm Horde. If it's red, it's dead. If you didn't want that to happen, you shouldn't have been an elf. Thank you very much. I'm going to go to hell for that. Can't remember the last time I was even here. It's a nice area. They could do something with the sunbeams, I feel. They've got the technology now to make that look a lot better. Right, we've covered Anderhall. So let's go and have a look at another couple of areas that are far more infested than the stuff to the west. Let's go look at Scholarmance. You may be disappointed to know that there aren't actually any changes here that I can see. But we'll have a look at it from the air anyway. The inside of Scholomance is exactly the same, however, this area is now level appropriate, so there's dungeons around 40 to 45. I went in there, had a look around. Bosses are the same. I went to go see Rattlegore and sample some of his famous quiche. Otherwise, pretty much the same instance. I would expect a lot of the old instances to be changed to levels that are appropriate for where they are right now. Now, this final farm area has not been retaken yet. Cauldron Lord is still there, and that cauldron is still bubbling. So one of the quests is blatantly going to be to clear this area out, and I would think that you can completely cleanse it. At least if they're using the phasing in a way that makes sense. Right, there's one last area I'd like to show you, and I'll show you the entrance to EPL, but we'll look at that another time. This area coming up right now is kind of weird. For one, it dismounts you for no apparent reason. Two, there's a bunch of cultists here with plague bears in cages, which are friendly. Perhaps you get an opportunity to turn them back. There is one character that you'll find rather odd. Instructor Militia, who was in Scholomance. Not anymore. Apparently they're having a little bit of a field trip with the students. Go sample some of the wildlife. Literally. Looking forward to finding out what this is all about and the quests that are related to it. That about covers it. I'll show you the bridge, just for the sake of doing so. Again, I don't know what's with the whole flying thing. It dismounts you in this area. It's possible that in the beta some of these areas aren't flight enabled yet. Whatever the case, that was the Western Plaguelands. And I shall have a look at some of the other areas, of course, in future videos. Like I said, today's my 26th birthday, so I'm going to be doing some celebrating from here on over the course of the weekend. Bunch of friends coming around for festivities, so don't expect too many videos over the next 4 days. I'll be back on full schedule by Tuesday. My name's been Totalbiscuit, and that has been the Western Plaguelands. I'll see you next time.